I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and welcome to my vlog, where it's both my mission and my pleasure to highlight my creative journey in hopes of inspiring you, giving you a specific takeaway, all that way your journey can be at least a little bit easier. Now, before I fully dive into things, allow me to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already, that we get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So, let's get into this past week. What happened? Well, the big milestone is that the assembly edit of my latest feature film is complete. Now, what is an assembly edit? Well, it's the movie edited from start to finish at a first pass. And for the most part, that means it has many missing elements, right? It doesn't have sound effects. It has very temporary music. It doesn't have color correction. There's generally no visual effects shots put in. The graphics, if any, are very temporary, right? But it's the first pass of the edit phase. And that's where we're at. And it's very exciting, that was 6 weeks to get there, 6 reels, if you're unfamiliar, I broke the movie up into 6 segments, so that way it can make the post-production easier for all those involved. And so 6 parts, and 6 parts, about 6 weeks took me to edit. And that's pretty good, especially since I, can't do this full time, the editing side of it. And so it was a big milestone. It was an exciting milestone, and now I can watch the movie from start to finish and see where the revisions and the improvements can be made, right? And one of the first things is that it's running at about an hour and 57 minutes. My goal would be anywhere between the 90 to maximum 95-minute range. So plenty of stuff that needs to be trimmed down and so forth. But that's actually good because it allows you to clarify certain things that weren't, if things were slowing it down and stuff like that, right? So this is like, it's not necessarily a negative thing, and it actually helps force you to make your movie better, right? And by the way, this is not just a phenomenon to me, whether it be writing a novel, whether it be any first assembly of a movie, they tend to be longer, and then you trim down to get to what you need in terms of the revisions, right? And so I'm excited now to really go through it. I'm going to have a meeting with the people involved on the producing side with the movie, and we're going to talk through all these things, right? Of, what works, what we can help elevate, and stuff like that, right? And yeah, so this will be kind of a next phase of it. Since each reel, since there's 6 reels within that constitute the whole movie, what I'm going through and identifying is, okay, here's the running time for each reel, and here's the ideal running time, right? So, and not that within the second pass or even the third pass we'll hit those ideal running times per reel, but we can start to go towards that and measure against that, right? And as we do all this, conversations are being had about visual effects. Conversations are being had about the music. Now that everything's there, I can much more easily pinpoint, okay, what are the spots that need music, what don't? And of course, it's all subject to change, but now we at least have this broad view, right? We can see the forest from the trees, so to speak. And that's exciting, right? That's a big milestone and whatnot. And so, we'll kind of take that bird's eye view, right? And be like, okay, what overall works? What needs to be, what could be enhanced, right? And then as I go through and make those changes, I will also be thinking of all the various elements, right? Where there might need to be graphics, I'll start to just at least push them into phase 2, right? So I'll start kind of being more nitpicky with the music, with the sound, with the graphics and start giving notes of like, okay, what can we do with a visual effects shot here and stuff like that, right? Start to really define those things in that way, right? And so that's really exciting, and I'm excited to get into that next phase of it. The other aspect that now we'll be able to do is, I have to film some B-roll stuff and just like minor stuff in Colombia, and so now we can essentially make an exact list of everything that we specifically need, so that way I can go down there and just get what we need, right? And like I said, this is just transitional shots, establishing shots, things of that nature that we could have very easily, maybe not easily, but we could have done while we were there. The reason I say maybe not as easily is because it would have detracted from us filming the movie, and we were already on a tight schedule. And I always knew that, like, it just would have wasted time and also, quite frankly, hard drive space. Like, even though we didn't shoot raw Blackmagic footage, shooting at Apple ProRes still eats up a lot of hard drive space, right? And one thing that it just eats it up like nothing else is just random B-roll that you ultimately don't end up needing. And so by not wasting that time, then we were able to film everything, and then now we can have those very specific exact shots, and I can go in and just get exactly that, nothing more, nothing less. Maybe a little bit more, right? I don't want to shoot myself and the rest of the team in the foot by not getting just a little bit more, right? But that's exciting. So I've been talking with the team about that, planning for that, so that's in the works, and yeah, we'll see kind of where we end up at with the next pass and the next pass. Now each subsequent pass will be a lot faster, right? Because now you're just adjusting things as opposed to literally building from scratch. So, it tends to be a lot faster. Or sometimes, the changes that you might need to make are so intricate that, it's like sometimes it can be like a domino effect. Like you change one thing here and all of a sudden you got to like change a lot of things down the line, and so you got to go through it. So yeah, it just depends on how it all goes and what we're trying to affect. So yeah, that's kind of honestly the long and short of that. The other exciting part is I've been updating for a while now my nonfiction book, Master Mental Fortitude. It came out in 2019. But because of the pandemic and everything, I felt like it needed an upgrade, right? And I could do a better job with it. So in the past couple of months, I've been going through and just, updating things there. And now we're sort of at the final pass of everything. I literally just kind of touched up 3 chapters over the weekend, these little segments. And yeah, so I'll be kind of updating when that will become available, the new updated version. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to releasing that into the world. And yes, there's plenty of new stuff in there that constitutes this, and it's exciting. The thing that I haven't been working on because of that, and just my steadfastness to get the assembly edit done was writing my second novel. That was kind of for the past week, more than that really, ever since this editing thing really been put on the back burner, but I'm excited to get back into that. The outline for it is very tight. It's a story that's been on my mind for a number of years, and so it's not to say that it'll be easy to write the novel, but easier because I know where things are headed. And like with everything, the goal is just to get a first draft out. That's always my goal, and I have to, even in those moments when I know that I'm writing something and I'm just like, ooh, this is terrible, it's just like, let me just put that on the page at least to get an idea, and because for me it's a lot easier to then go and revise something versus like not having it there, right? And so even if it's crap, that's far more advantageous for me than not having anything. So that's how I approach it. The other thing, just in terms of some of the stuff on the side that I've been helping out with, one of my friends is working on their reel, and this is like my PSA to everyone out there, right? Whether, especially if you're a host or an actor, anything in that sense that requires a reel, please do yourself a favor. Always download the footage while you can, right? Because we all assume that the footage will be available to us forever and always. Not the case. A while back, in fact, I knew a lot of hosts, and there's a company that took down basically everything. And all of a sudden, everyone was blindsided because they hadn't downloaded that footage. And they're like, it's gone, it doesn't exist. And that sucks. And so you never want to be caught blindsided, always download the footage that you think you're going to need for your reel. And even if you don't think you're going to need it, just take that little bit of extra precaution and download it so you have it. The other thing, whenever you do your reel, right? Because your reel really is a constantly evolving, changing thing, right? The reel you have this year is not going to be the same reel that you ideally have next year. And so have the project files, whether you edit the reel yourself or not, have the project file, have all the assets, the graphics and so forth. So that way, if you end up using the same person, again, great. But, maybe they lose the hard drive. Maybe, they're unavailable now. You don't want to be dependent on other people, especially in this sense. So please have a copy of your reel, all the assets and all that. At the bare minimum, what I would recommend is an exported version of your reel without any musics or graphics, text baked in. So that way at least you have a clean version and you can, go from there. We call those, in the post-production world, we call those stems. Like on a film, when I'm asked to deliver a film, I deliver just like the final output with everything, then a textless version of the film, and then audio gets delivered in terms of dialogue, sound effects, and music. Right, so 3 separate things of that nature, and that's just kind of the basics of it. But you can utilize that thought process towards your reel and your projects as well, because it'll just help you, right? So anyway, that's what I have for you. Overall, not a lot to report on, but definitely a lot got done in the week. So as always, if you have any questions about anything that I talked about, or stuff I didn't talk about, by all means, comment down below or hit me up on social media at Svitek. Likewise, if you want to check out any of the stuff that I've been hinting at, the movies that I've made, the books and so forth, all that stuff is linked to down below, so you can check it out. Supporting that stuff helps support this because, by getting to do that, I have firsthand knowledge and can give you insights along my journey to help you, right, ultimately. Likewise, if you think you would benefit from more direct interaction with me, well, that's what my Patreon page is for. Patreon.com/PhilSvitek. We can interact there, do Q&As and various other stuff depending on the tier that you're in. So thank you so much. I appreciate you and hope to see you next time.